If you're thinking about buying a new place but need to sell your current home first, you've probably come across something called the sale of buyer's home condition. It's exactly what it sounds like. It makes buying your next home conditional on the sale of your current property. Now, this can be a useful tool for buyers who don't want to carry two mortgages or need the equity from their current home to close on their new home. But it can also introduce a layer of risk and complexity that most people don't fully understand. In this video, I'll walk you through what this condition actually means, how it works, why sellers don't always love it, and how to make it work for you when selling before you buy is the only option. So in Alberta, the sale of buyer's home condition is typically included in a purchase contract when a buyer needs to sell their current property before they can commit to buying a new one. The condition gives the buyer a specific time frame, usually 14 to 30 days, to get their current property under contract. If the buyer sells their home within this period, the deal moves forward just like with any other deal. But if they can't, the condition allows them to back out of the offer without penalty, and their damage deposit will be returned. Now, there's also something called a time clause, and in Alberta, a time clause is a kind of escape clause that allows a seller to keep their property on the market after accepting a conditional offer. If the seller receives a better offer during the time stipulated in the clause, they can notify the buyer, giving them a limited amount of time to remove all conditions and proceed with the deal, or the deal will be forfeited, allowing the seller to proceed with the new buyer. Now, this setup tries to keep things fair for both sides, but it can become stressful quickly if you're in a multiple offer situation or timelines are tight. Most people using this condition simply can't afford to own two properties at the same time. That's definitely true in Calgary, where even though we are more affordable than cities like Toronto or Vancouver, the prices are still generally high enough to make it financially unworkable for a lot of people. The other reason to use this condition would be timing. Maybe your current home isn't on the market yet, or it is listed but it hasn't sold. Including this condition can buy you some time to secure your next home while the sale of your current home completes. Also, it can be useful in slower markets or slower segments of the market, for instance, in the Calgary condo market, where certain properties are sitting a little longer. In those cases, a seller might be a little bit more open to a conditional offer just to keep things moving. Now, from a seller's perspective, this type of condition can add a lot of uncertainty. They're basically tying up their home in a deal that might go nowhere. Even with a time clause in place, they're still dealing with a seller who's not fully committed. If another offer does come in, they can activate the time clause, but even this process can be a little messy and disruptive. It creates a countdown scenario where the buyer either needs to firm up the deal fast or let the deal go altogether, and this type of pressure can tank the deal. Now, in a hot market, sellers are far more likely to pass on an offer that has this kind of condition. It's just a risk they don't need to take in a situation where buyers are willing to go firm without this type of condition. But in a slower, more balanced market like Calgary now, some sellers will be willing to entertain it, especially if your home is already listed and looks like it's priced to sell. So if you are a buyer who really needs to include this condition, there are ways to make your offer look more attractive. One of the best things you can do is to have your home already listed or ideally under contract before you place your offer on the next home. If your home is staged and priced well, this might give the sellers a little bit more confidence that your home will sell quickly. You can also include a shorter time frame for your condition, say 10 to 14 days rather than 30, and this will show the seller that you're actually serious and not just testing the waters. Also, in a situation where you need to use this condition, you may want to consider pricing your house a little more aggressively to ensure that it does move faster. Ultimately, the cleaner that you can make this situation look to the seller, the more likely they will be to accept your offer even with this condition attached. Here in Calgary, the right strategy really depends on what segment of the market you're buying and selling in. Detached homes in desirable areas are still selling fairly quickly, while some segments of the condo market are moving a bit slower than the rest. If you're selling a home that's likely to attract strong interest, but buying into a segment of the market with more supply, you might be in a position to time things well and avoid using the sale condition altogether. On the other hand, if your current property is in a slower segment of the market, including the sale condition might be the safest move. In either case, working with an agent who understands timing, pricing, and negotiation will make a huge difference. So, sale of buyer's home condition isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does come with some risks. If you understand how it works and you've got a solid plan for selling your current home, it can make the difference between bridging the gap between your current home and your new home. If you're thinking about making a move and not sure how to time your sale and purchase, reach out. I'd be happy to chat with you about how this condition may or may not fit into your game plan. And as always, if you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.